They caught their breath. "It's beautiful," she said, looking at the ruins. "This used to be the library of Ubar," he said. "And smashed it." "Do we have to talk politics?" she asked. "That's not how I want to remember you," she said with an odd, wistful look at her face. She was as beautiful as she'd ever been, and as brave. Peppino huffed. They got back on the trail.
Didn't your mother tell you it's rude to stare? Snapped Renato, a little smug.
Huh? A lever? That was new. Most people still use doorknobs. Renato did not feel well. In fact, he felt dead. Renato hated gogglers, and it freaked him out to cut them. The long stairs. So he was close to the rebel base. Nothing was on fire. So far, so good. So this was what it was like to die. Not nearly as much fun as they said. Where was the cake? He'd been promised cake. Should really look for another line of work, he thought. And then he died. Should have faked left and then gone left, he thought. And then he never thought again. so much about.
Ooh, what was it again?
As they made their way to the secret rebel base, Renato felt strange. Zenobia was his prisoner, yet somehow she felt more like an old friend. He wanted to tell her all his secrets, but suddenly the ruins lit up with thousands of fireworks. There was a thunderous roar and dust rose. The caves were collapsing.
The caves!
"You've been playing me?" Renato said, and he stared at Zenobia.
I'm sorry, she said, and she seemed almost embarrassed. Then, everything went dark.
When Renato came to, he had a terrible headache. Also, Zenobia's sword was at his throat. And her shackles were gone. So was Lupino. "The terrible thing is," he said, "I really have missed you. Now that we've destroyed the rebellion, would you consider becoming an advisor to the Emperor's daughter?"
I'm no one's servant. Everybody serves. Even if it's only destiny. I like to choose my own destinies, he said.
The whole point of a destiny is you can't choose. Oh, never mind, she said. "Look, if I see you again, I'll have to kill you."
He watched her ship soar away. He would see her again, he decided. Even if he had to fight his way across the entire fleet.
The Imperial fleet was cleaning up the few rebel remnants. For only a moment, he thought about running.
But heroes don't run, even when the world is against them. Even when their cause is hopeless, and their efforts futile, and pointless, and useless, and death painful and guaranteed. He's decided to stop thinking for a while.
Haven't you always wanted to do that?
that go to?
This chest was really horrible. Get it? What else could you hook? Renata felt ready to take on new powers. This was much easier than free climbing. Renato's arm was sore, his armor wet with raven blood. He was tired of death. But death was not yet tired of him. The rebels were losing. Badly. In some other universe, Renato thought, he and Zenobia had left Swordfu School together, taken out their names and sailed off into the mists. But not this Zenobia, and not him. For him, there was nothing to do but forge ahead. Kill the Emperor and end this. Renato, smash! Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Funny that this whole war had come about because the Emperor feared death. And now it was coming for him. There was some sort of lesson there, wasn't there?
This is why heroes are called dashing, Reynardo thought. See? Dashing? Get it?
fact his hook didn't break. He'd once met a pirate captain who used hooks to get around his ship. Oh, what was his name again? At last, he reached the Emperor's ship. Zenobia was there. "Why'd you have to come back?" she said. "Guess I'm just serving my destiny." He shrugged. "You don't even know what that word means," she said. "Do you ever wonder if things have been different all the time?" she said, and drew her sword. In the end, Bernardo lay bleeding out on the deck. Zenobia sat by his side, upset. "What are you so upset about?" he asked. "You wouldn't understand. Why didn't you tell me you were going to leave school? I was afraid you'd convince me not to." "I guess I'll have to buy you a drink in the halls of the Valiant then," he told her, and then he was gone. Okay, that was weird. He could have sworn he just died. Instead, he was on the Farfarer, sailing away from Ubar. And it was still burning. He'd fled burning Ubar years ago, hadn't he? And now he was back there. Had all those years fighting the Empire been nothing but a vision into the future? A useful vision if it was true. He'd learned something. Zenobia still had feelings for him. He'd made bad choices. But now, when the real battle came, he wouldn't make those choices. He wouldn't make the same mistake twice. The book's pages began to flip backwards, towards the beginning. And he realized that his adventure was just beginning. The clouds parted over the Isles of Boreas. It was time to choose. The rebellion was in trouble. Ravens were scouting for the secret rebel base. They needed a game-changer. Pieces of the Sky Ripper had surfaced. Or so a scholar in the mountains had told him. Surely the weapon that banished the lost gods could defeat the Emperor. Also, a temple had risen out of empty desert. The Emperor had brought the Sky Ripper pieces up out of ancient burial by his obscene rituals. Could this be where the Iblis Stone was hidden? Someone better get it before he does, thought Reynardo. On the other hand, his old friend Lapino needed rescuing. Lapino was no game changer, but could Reynardo really leave an old friend to the Ravens? The island was windswept desert. No one went there except ostriches and ostrich hunters. The Iblis Stone. It sounded ominous. It sounded powerful. If the Emperor was searching for it, it must be dangerous. And so, Bernardo went ostrich hunting. Every child could sing verses about the Sky Ripper, but ancient codices held hints of other things. A stone that ate souls, a ruby that drank blood, a jewel only a righteous man could give away. Were all these things the Iblis Stone? Long hidden in a buried temple? Another ancient item that was only resurfacing now? Drawn up from the deeps by the Emperor's horrific rituals?
Not quite enough, thought Renato. Renato distrusted doors that opened automatically, especially after being buried for millennia. Was this some sort of trap? The Ravens were already here, cawing in frustration. They were still searching for a way in. Good. Then he hadn't come too late. Close to you. He needed some way to break the ice with this war, so to speak. What was really fun was hooking yourself onto a moving ship. Hey, I'm a firefox, thought Renato.
Renato checked to make sure his sword was still working. Yep.
Nice. That could be useful. Stay away from the other guy's sword, you know? The Ravens, at least, could not get past this point. Obviously, the temple builders knew how to deal with tomb raiders. He knew the known knowns, and even some of the known unknowns. But he didn't know the unknown unknowns. You dig? This couldn't be good for global warming.
was a stone of the purest blackness. It reflected no light, like a void made solid. Nervous, he picked it up. I can make you mighty. Who said that? Give me blood. It was the stone. Eager, thirsty. Kill the Emperor's daughter. Now you, Emperor. That seemed tempting and terribly wrong. Zenobia was the Emperor's greatest general and a potent witch. But they had been close once, and Reynardo wasn't sure he really wanted to be Emperor. Why not capture the core of Skyripper instead? It was the eye of a lost god torn out by the Transcendent Emperor to power his greatest weapon. Get the core, said the stone anxiously. Feed me death. I will give you the power to do what you want. Was he listening to a talking rock?
Ah, but the rock had a point. If the stone could truly turn him into a powerful warrior, he could defeat the Emperor with the very weapon the wicked old Toad had sought for himself.
To be a hero, you had to sacrifice old friends sometimes, especially when they've become enemies.
As he placed the impossibly black crystal in his gauntlet, Reynardo had a sudden vision. Charred fields covered in dead ravens below a black sun.
Was it the time of the lost gods before the Transcendent Emperor? Was it the future? Feed souls, it whispered. Take the power. He could feel the stone's hunger for souls. Its thirst for blood. All right, I get it. This was going to be interesting.
Who made all these ore chests anyway? Well, you could have quite a business doing that.
You think at this rate, the Imperial army would run out of ravens?
This was the nice part of town, but the ravens had been through here. They like to take shiny things home to their nests.
on Zenobia's island were no match for Reynardo. They screamed as the stones sucked out their souls. And with each death, he felt stronger. Take the power, the stone told him.
He was practically sure he'd find something useful in one of these things. Firewalls only let you through if they think you're hot enough.
Hey, why don't you guys fight in groups? Oh, I know. Because there's no I in team.
Zenobia was waiting for Reynardo. She was alone, confident as always. Fire danced at the tips of her claws.
Are you here to surrender? She seemed as cocksure as he felt. But she didn't know he had the stone. And I've missed you too, love. He chuckled.
She spotted the stone and bolted without another word.
I need more materials, thought Reynardo.
Cool.
Wish I could do that.
Finally, Renato caught up to her. He had never seen her scared before. At school, she'd been the determined, brave one. Now her eyes were wide, frightened. He didn't like seeing her this way. "Kill her," whispered the stone. "You cannot win your rebellion without it. Please." "No," said Zenobia. "Not that way." Oh, they had been so close once. Could he really feed her soul to his demonic gem? But if he spared her, he would not get the full power of the stone. Oh, how could he be the hero he wanted to be? Renato hesitated. Zenobia was his greatest enemy. She was the Emperor's daughter and his greatest general, and the single person Renato least wanted to remove from this world, especially that way. She was holding her arms out before her, hands fluttering, fending him off with hopeless urgency. Nope, she was weaving a spell. He couldn't move. "This thing is evil," she said.
She slid the Iblis stone out of its slot in his gauntlet and slipped it into a bag.
"Maybe we can learn from it." She eyed him with a strange, wry, apologetic look. "I missed you too." And before he could move again, she was gone. Learn from the Iblis stone? What did that mean? Would she take it to the palace or to the observatory on the Nexus? If she thought it was evil, she wouldn't want it in the palace. Maybe I can outrace her to the observatory, thought Renato. Cats can run faster, but foxes can run longer. Renato felt a little sick. Ever since Zenobia had taken the stone from him, he'd felt an ache that wouldn't go away. He missed it. He wanted it back. He needed it back. Why hadn't he killed her when he had the chance? She was the enemy. He hadn't even seen her in 14 years. Why had he hesitated? You were a sucker for an empowered woman. Renato kicked himself. Don't make that mistake again. Can I borrow that?
He was sort of yanking his own chain, wasn't he? Zenobia thought the stone was evil. Was it?
He longed to have it back. He'd felt so good killing ravens with it. And yet, he'd felt unclean ever since he'd touched it. She confused him. She'd made him want to be a better fox. And then she'd abandoned him, never telling him she was the Emperor's daughter. Never contacting him since. But who was she to tell him the stone was evil?
Oh, this really didn't have much in the way of safety features, did it? And while he was trying to recover the stone Zenobia had taken from him, the Imperial fleet was tightening its grip. He might fail to save the rebellion, and it would all be her fault. Renato felt a burst of outrage. Not only had she stolen his gem, she'd also stolen his scientists. Sure, they were neutral, but they had helped him discover what the Emperor was up to. They were supposed to be helping me, Renato thought. So unfair. Energy spheres. Easy to dodge, but boy did they sting if you didn't pay attention.
Boy, some people were just liable to explode if you upset them.
Renato really liked the sound his sword made in the air.
wasn't his fault. They looked so breakable. The scientist's toes were pointing arcane instruments at the stone and looking at it through prisms and reflections.
Mine, said Reynardo as he took back the stone.
Well, we need it for science, croaked the toads. So he killed them. He felt better immediately. Smarter, too. I thought you'd never come for me, whispered the stone.
Then, a far-speaker toad croaked in something like Zenobia's voice.
Reynardo, leave the stone with the toads. It will swallow your soul. It will kill everyone you love.
But Reynardo had an army to lead, an empire to bring down.
Fight this thing.
Zenobia continued in the far speaker's croak.
You let me live. You know how evil it is. It will destroy you, Reynardo. It will destroy everything you love.
She was right. He would get rid of it. Right? Now. Or now. He didn't really want to. I know. I'll go to the mountains, Reynardo thought. I'll find the strength to do it in the peace and quiet there. As the Farfarer landed at the foot of the mountains, Reynardo was surprised to find Lapino there. What are you doing here?
Oh, you wouldn't believe it. I was stowed away on an Imperial courier ship, dressed up as a combat nurse carrying a general's beak transplant.
This is not a great time, said Reynardo.
That's when you need your friends,
said Lapino. I just need some peace and quiet, said Reynardo, and grimly set out on the path. What were these poles exactly? Parking meters from the time of the lost gods? Ready to blossom within him, or something.
Take a leap of faith, said the inscription.
I'm sorry. Was that your shield?
Bernardo told his friend how he had slaughtered the Toads, and how he had nearly slain Zenobia.
A terrible burden, this Iblis stone.
Sympathized the rabbit. Yeah, but I need it. For the rebellion.
Do you now? You know, you were a pretty fine fighter before you were wielding a demonic decoration.
Oddly, the sword wasn't whispering at him to kill the Pinot.
Up ahead in the mountains, there was a peaceful spot. If he could rid himself of his burden anywhere, it was there.
Bernardo hoped his mother wasn't watching.
What was the point of this gate? Did they think no one would notice the lever? Bernardo thought he would make a difference, snatching the Iblis stone before the Emperor could get it. And it would destroy him. Zenobia and Lepino, they were both trying to save him. Peace. That was what he needed. So much for peace and quiet. There was Lapino. Again.
You're stronger than some dumb rock, Lapino said. Let's just bury it, and no one will ever find it again.
Bernardo could feel the spirit energy of all those dead ravens inside him, pecking away. The rabbit was right.
He tore the Iblis stone from his gauntlet and threw it into the hole Lapino had dug. The stone was silent. Probably sulking.
Now whoop those Imperials, said Lapino. Are you coming?
Ah, no, I can't come with you. It's my old injury, you know. Recently, it's been acting up terrible. I'd be no use to you at all.
So Reynardo boarded the Farfarer alone. Reynardo felt lonely on board the Farfarer. How could his old friend Lapino, miraculously escaped from the Empire, leave him to face the final battle alone? Well, he'd abandoned Lapino before, hadn't he? It was only fair. And of course he felt lonely. He'd given up the Iblis stone and all the souls he feted. Of course he felt alone. But he had done the right thing. It had been hard to do, but there was no better feeling than that. Zenobia would be so proud of him. The battle, alas, was not going well. He no longer had the stone, and he'd never gotten the core. Lapino wasn't with him, and he was up against Zenobia, out there somewhere, maneuvering the Emperor's forces. The rebels had been outnumbered from the start, and he still had that aching longing for the stone. But that is what it means to be a hero. He would fight his way to Zenobia. He would show her what he was capable of. Just him, with no diabolic accoutrements. He would win, no matter the odds.
The portal was heavily guarded. It must go someplace they really didn't want it to go. Well, they really needed to redecorate anyway.
Reynardo could feel his wounds closing. It was weird.
He wished there were more pylons he could use the hook on. Really needed to construct additional pylons.
A very clever engineer named Elon Muskrat had got his start making floating platforms. Not many people knew that.
In a swirl of newly remembered knowledge. Yes, that was it. Pirouette, slash, parry, dodge. Renato had never done such good work in a fight. He wished the poets were along to sing of his exploits for his old age. Maybe he wouldn't have to kill Zenobia. Maybe he could defeat her and take her prisoner. Then he could turn the tide against the Emperor. If she wasn't crowned princess, once this was all over, she'd have more time for him, right? Dying, he thought. I'm the hero. Soon he'd confront the Emperor. Again. This time, he'd make an end of him. He'd screwed up last time, but he had a good feeling about this time.